Before I get into this video, just really quickly, I'm going to be wearing my glasses for today. I'm not using my ring light just because the glare on these is really bad. But I'm getting a bit of a migraine, so I'm going to keep my glasses on for this video. I don't normally wear them to film, but... Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, welcome to my channel if you are new around here. If you are new, please do hit the subscribe button. I make a whole host of content ranging from Disney to university life to general lifestyle things. I know that I haven't really been filming that much Disney content recently. I feel like because the parks are only just kind of reopening, I don't really have that much to say, so do let me know in the comments below if you do have any suggestions for Disney videos, because I would really like to start filming some more Disney content again. But today's video is something a little bit different for me, but it's something that I'm really passionate about and something that I really want to talk about more on my channel. So as you can probably tell from the title, it's going to be 5 really super easy steps to leading a more sustainable life. Now, I don't want this video to come across as really preachy or like entitled. I don't know, I'm not like a huge fan of people like preaching stuff, especially when it comes to kind of this kind of topic. I feel like it's quite a very fine line between being really preachy and just helping people out. But I wanted to kind of make this video to show you guys that living a more sustainable lifestyle is really actually quite easy, and you don't have to change very much to do it. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So before I share some of my tips, I thought it would be really helpful just to point out that this is just the stuff that works for me personally, and it's the stuff that I've found has really kind of changed my life when it comes to being more sustainable. And I'm in no means an expert. There might be some things in this video that I say that are inaccurate or wrong. If that's the case, please do feel free to correct me, and also leave in the comments below any tips or suggestions you have. So the first thing that I want to talk about is sustainable fashion and like fast fashion. Now at the moment there is a huge stigma around people buying from fast fashion brands, and obviously there is the argument that obviously not everyone is able to buy from fast fashion brands, not everyone can afford it, it's not always feasible in every single situation, and it also depends heavily on where you are in the world. For example, America seemed to be a lot better with like thrifting and that sort of thing, and also depends on like what size clothing you wear. So for example, I am literally like the smallest size clothing, but at the same time not always, like I'm a very strange in between size. So I feel like if you're with me on that one, then you probably know what I mean. Yeah, fast fashion isn't always feasible for everyone, so something that I found really works for me and makes me feel kind of good about myself and like what I'm doing is choosing 2 or 3 clothing brands to buy from consistently, and then just kind of not shopping anywhere else. So obviously you guys may have seen recently that I went to shop in Primark. I do love a good bit of Primark, I'm going to be honest. I know it's not the best ethically, but at the same time it's also not by any means the worst. Boycott boohoo. Yeah, so what I have done is I have chosen 2 or 3 different shops that I like to shop in. So for me that is Primark, obviously because it is super cheap, and obviously I'm a student on a budget. Misguided and ASOS Own. Those are like the 3 places that I shop at the most. I find their sizing is really good for me, so that's why I've chosen them. I know that H&M as a high street retailer are getting much better with their sustainability. They had, I don't know if they still do it, but they had like a recycling scheme where you could recycle your old clothes with them and that kind of thing. So H&M is also a really good one to consider. Obviously, as I said, thrifting is another thing, shopping in like charity shops and vintage kilo sales. Kilo sales are getting a lot better, but generally in the UK I feel like thrifting is not as accessible as it is kind of elsewhere in the world. But yeah, so it's not necessarily about buying from the most sustainable brands ever, because I know that's not feasible for everyone, but making sure you're shopping smart, so choosing a couple of places to shop in every now and again. It's also worth noting that I don't buy clothes very often at all. Like I literally maybe do a clothes shop like twice a year, maybe once in the summer and once in the winter, just to kind of replace and top up like essentials like jumpers, shorts, because I do find that a lot of the clothes that I own last a really long time regardless of where I buy them from. So if I buy them from Primark, I might still be wearing them like 4 or 5 years down the line, and that's something that I've always done just because I don't really grow, so it's quite easy for me to like shop like once and then have those same clothes like for years. I would just occasionally top up my collection if I know that I wear something a lot, like play suits for example. I live in play suits in the summer, so every year I try and buy a couple more just because then they kind of keep me going for a bit longer. And yeah, so I kind of find that shopping less and like at a few select shops is better than like shopping every week on like Pretty Little Thing, you know? My main advice really would just be to do your research on places that you want to shop from, and just making sure that you don't buy things like super unnecessarily. Like, I know that like treating yourself is a huge important thing, and we all deserve to treat ourselves every now and again. We shouldn't be that restricted, but yeah, just being like more conscious of it, I think. So step number 2 is actually diet. Now this probably sounds really terrifying to a lot of people, and I completely understand why. I get that like the stigma and the concept of being a vegan is crazy, like excessive, and to a lot of people seems really out of reach, and that is why I'm here to say you don't need to go vegan to do your bit for the planet. So there are honestly so many like tiny changes people can make. I think people miss the trick with this massively and just assume that you have to be completely vegan when that isn't necessarily the case. I honestly think that if everyone in the world was a vegan, it wouldn't be sustainable either. So obviously you have to get the balance right. The main thing I have done is actually cut out dairy. I did this about 2 years ago because I wanted to try and see if it impacted my skin. I have always struggled with really bad skin. I had childhood acne, things like that, so I really wanted to try and work out if they were directly linked in any way, and it turns out they actually were. So not only is this a sustainable option, if you are also struggling from bad skin, cut out dairy. I swear it is a game changer, especially milk, like drinking actual milk, because there are still things I do eat that have dairy in, such as ice cream, although I do try and go for like dairy-free options where possible. Butter and cheese are the two kind of main things that I'm yet to like properly swap out. Often if I'm having a sandwich, I will spread it with hummus rather than butter, just as like a preference in general. But yeah, so I actually switched out about 2 years ago to oat milk, and well, originally I had soy milk, but if you have ever experienced drinking soy milk, you'll know that it doesn't always agree with the insides, shall we say. But oat milk is honestly the best dairy alternative I have ever tried. It tastes pretty much exactly the same as regular cow's milk. However, it is really good for the environment. It is not at all as damaging as like almond milk. I know almond milk is really controversial because it can be quite damaging for the environment, but oat milk is like nowhere near as bad for the environment, and it's super yummy. You can get it in different flavours. You can get it sweetened, unsweetened. You can even make it yourself, because I do understand that milk alternatives are sometimes a bit more expensive than regular milk depending on where you buy it from. My brand preference is Oatly, but I will honestly just get whatever's on offer just so I don't have to spend loads of money on it. You can also make oat milk at home really easily using oats and water. I actually showed you guys how to do it in a previous weekly vlog, so go back on my channel if you want to go and find out how to do that, but if not, just Google it. It's super easy. It takes about 10 minutes and you've got loads of oat milk. So yeah, that is the main thing for me. It's also probably important to stress at this point that I'm not a vegan. I'm at this point not even vegetarian. When I'm at home, I just eat the diet that my parents want to eat, and they don't really eat vegetarian meals. Like, they're very meat orientated, which isn't a bad thing, that's their preference, and I don't really want to make it difficult for them. But when I'm at uni or living by myself with my boyfriend, we do eat a mainly vegetarian diet. I do, however, balance this out because I know it's quite difficult. So what I will do is I will restrict myself to not buying any meat or like meat product in my supermarket food shop, but if I'm going out for a meal and there's something on the menu that I want that does have meat in, I'm not going to stop myself from having it. And I find that's a really good way of like keeping the balance and doing what works for me, because then it means that I'm actually going to be more likely to stick to it, rather than if I just completely cut everything out and went vegan tomorrow. I don't think I would be able to do it for longer than like a week, because you're just doing it too quickly, and if you introduce things more gradually, it makes it a lot easier. Obviously, I'm very aware that like a vegan vegetarian diet does not work for everyone. There are people who do actually need to have meat in their diet because of like a health requirement, that kind of thing, to have certain like vitamins and like nutrients in the diet. So it's not always sustainable for every single person to have a non-meat diet, but I think it's important to remember that there are some really easy changes you can make. For example, having less meat, having a meatless Monday, or just switching out dairy, especially if your skin is bad. I cannot stress this enough, that it really is a game changer. So that is the second step. You'd also be really surprised to see how many of your favourite foods are vegan. I actually follow this Instagram account called, I think it's just called Accidentally Vegan, but basically they just share a ton of like foods that are in everyone's like kind of staple everyday lives, like jammy dodgers, like different types of biscuits even, that are actually vegan and you wouldn't even know it. So it might even be worth going and looking in your cupboards and seeing what is actually vegan. I think you'd be really surprised. But yeah, I'm not here to promote like a vegan diet over anything else, because I know that it's subject to everyone and everyone has a different preference. Number 3 is to be reusable and avoid plastic, especially single-use plastic. I cannot stress this enough. I don't understand how it's not like more of a pushed thing at this point, but honestly, cutting out plastic is the easiest thing you can do at the moment. So for example, the first thing you can do is to use a reusable water bottle. This is actually a Chili's bottle. I've had this for quite a few years now and I honestly use it all the time. It served me so well. I actually want to get it in a different colour as well, just to like switch up a little bit. Anytime I see someone out and about with like a plastic Evian water bottle, I look at them and I'm like, what are you doing? My older sister is actually really bad for it and I always call her out on it. Yeah, there is just no need to be going to a supermarket when you're out for the day and buying a plastic bottle of water. Obviously there is the occasion where I have forgotten my reusable bottle and I have had to like buy a drink. If that's the case, I honestly will go for like a can of something, so like a can of Coke, or like, I don't know, I know it's not as healthy, but cans can obviously be recycled easier, so I do tend to stay as much away from plastic as I possibly can, especially plastic water, because there really is no need for it. Any coffee shops these days will take your water bottle and fill it up for you, so you don't have to worry about running out of water. And yeah, it's just honestly the easiest thing you can do. Same with like reusable coffee cups. Keep cups obviously are really expensive. They are really good, but they are expensive. There are tons and tons of brands now and places that sell reusable coffee cups. Even your favourite coffee shop like Costa or Starbucks sell their own reusable coffee cups, so it's super easy to, next time you're in Starbucks grabbing your morning coffee, just to grab a reusable cup and pay for that. A lot of places as well do actually offer discount if you bring in a reusable cup, which I actually think is a really good initiative because it does encourage people a lot more. And yeah, I just don't understand why it's not more of like a big thing at this point. Reusable cutlery is another really key thing. I do actually have a set that I keep in my bag. It's really super tiny, it folds up really small, and it's just like it's not bamboo, but it's like plastic bamboo, if that makes any sense, like a bamboo lunchbox, but in cutlery form. It comes with a metal straw as well. Again, metal straws are way better than paper or plastic. I know that they don't always taste as nice, but you can get these like little silicone tops that go on the top of them, and it stops them from tasting like metal, because I find when I first started using them I didn't like the taste of the metal, but if I put a silicone top over the top of them, it really helps with that. So if you're someone who doesn't like metal straws, definitely try out the silicone like top. And especially if you're one of my subscribers who watches me for my Disney content, so you go to the parks a lot, reusable cutlery is absolutely key for the Disney parks, because they are so bad for using plastic cutlery. That black plastic cutlery just goes in regular trash. Trust me, I know, I've had to do it, and it doesn't get recycled. So yeah, make sure if you are going to a Disney park or anything like that, you do bring reusable cutlery. Obviously they do have paper straws, so it's not so much of an issue, but cutlery wise, make sure you have your own. It's so easy, it takes 2 seconds to wash it up at the end of the day, and just to keep it with you all the time. So the next reusable item that I have to show you is something that I use when I go to the supermarket, and that is some reusable like produce bags, like food bags. So obviously normally when you go to the supermarket you have the option to buy like your vegetables either in plastic or not in plastic. I know a lot of supermarkets are really making an effort to cut out their plastic use for that sort of thing now, which is really good. A lot of them still haven't quite got there yet, so something that I really like to use is these produce bags. I actually bought some recently and I got some for my mum to use as well. These are just from Asda, I'm pretty sure. You can buy them in most supermarkets now or on Amazon really easily. They're super cheap, like £1 or £2, and basically all they are is like little like mesh bags. They almost look like laundry bags, and in fact if you have a laundry bag but you don't use, you could use it for your food shop, because they're basically the same thing. But yeah, you can just put like your peppers, your tomatoes, anything like that in here. They're fully recyclable, and they can also be washed in the washing machine, so if a tomato explodes and it gets a bit grubby, you can put it in the washing machine, it's all good. So yeah, I really recommend these. And honestly, again, anytime I see anyone buying bananas in plastic, please know that I'm heavily judging you, because they do not need to be in plastic. They are in their own skin for a reason. And that leads me on to the final reusable thing that I want to show you, and this is actually a pretty new discovery for me. Not a new discovery as such, I've known about them for a while, but I have not bought them yet until like recently, and it is actually reusable cotton pads. Now the reason I didn't buy them until recently is because I basically tried to cut out using cotton pads. I've been using a reusable microfiber cloth to take off my makeup, which I honestly cannot recommend enough. Not only do you not have to use like product on your face and you can just use water, it can just go in the washing machine and you're not throwing away cotton pads, and then a bottle of plastic micellar water. So yeah, pretty recommend that. But something that I have started using recently are these reusable cotton pads. They're again the same sort of thing, they're just like a cotton like little circle, and you just use them exactly as you would a normal cotton pad. You can use them to take off your nail polish, to cleanse your face, to put on toner, to do whatever you would normally do with a cotton pad. And they basically live in these little like sacks like this. Obviously it depends on what ones you buy. These just came from Amazon, they're like the cheapest ones I could find. They come in this little like sack, and then once you've done with it, you pop it in this little like laundry bag, which again looks the same as like a food bag type situation. Pop it in the laundry bag and then pop it in the washing machine. So yeah, they're super good. They're really easy to use. Obviously they're pretty much no different to regular cotton pads, except they are reusable. It means you're throwing away less product each time, and yeah, it's just really good for the environment to use something like that. Again, it's also really good for your skin. I've not noticed it myself yet, but I've had friends that have told me that the reusable cotton pads have made their skin clear up massively in comparison to using disposable cotton pads. I don't know if it's what they use in them or what, but yeah. So step number 4 is again a super easy one, and this is something anyone can do, and it is simply to learn about recycling. So this sounds really kind of obvious and a little bit stupid, but trust me, it's not. It's one of those things that once I tell you, you're gonna be like, why didn't I know that? Obviously recycling is a thing. You can use a recycling bin and there's a regular bin. However, in the UK especially, I'm not sure how it is like in the rest of the world, but in the UK especially, depending on which county or like town you live in, recycling systems are different, and so the things that you can recycle vary like differently depending on where you are. So for example, right now at home, I'm in Hampshire, I can't recycle the like bottles of Oatly, like the cartons. I can't recycle like orange juice cartons, that kind of thing. However, when I'm in Bournemouth, so in Dorset, I can recycle those things. So yeah, things just differ depending on where you are, but it is so important to make sure that you know what you can recycle where, because the more stuff that you recycle that you don't dispose of properly and ends up in landfill, the worse it is for the environment. So making sure you know exactly what can be recycled and what can't, and making sure things go in the correct like waste bins, is a super easy but effective way to be more sustainable. Okay, and that leads me on to the final thing that I want to talk about, which is something that I'm not entirely sure if it's like completely like a sustainable thing, but it's something that's really good, and it honestly grinds my gears that this isn't like a full worldwide thing, and that is being cruelty free. So honestly, I cannot stress enough how unnecessary animal testing is these days. Like, it really blows my mind that it is still happening in some parts of the world. Obviously it has become less common, which means that a lot more products and brands are cruelty free now, which is great, but I honestly cannot stress enough how important it is that you're checking what brands you buy for and making sure that you're buying from cruelty free brands, because nothing infuriates me more in this world, honestly. So I'm just going to give a little shout out to some of my favourite cruelty free brands that I use religiously. The first one being Soap and Glory. I absolutely love their skincare and their makeup. They're really good. Urban Decay is another one, as is Too Faced and Tarte. I also really like Aldi's skincare range, so the supermarket Aldi. Their Lacura skincare range is completely vegan and cruelty free, and I really like them as well, as is the Superdrug own brand. I genuinely cannot rave about Superdrug own brand enough. This is my favourite product from there. It's the Vitamin E moisturiser, like the body moisturiser. Look how huge this is, and this was £2, like no kidding. Genuinely, Superdrug's own brand of anything is so underrated, and if you haven't tried it already, then you need to, because not only is it super cheap, it's also cruelty free. So yeah, I think a lot of people get very deterred by the term cruelty free, and they think it's just like indie hippie brands and like Lush, which obviously they are kind of the innovators for this kind of thing, but a lot of brands that you probably know and love are cruelty free. Most brands will shout about it on their packaging these days and kind of like show that they are cruelty free, but if you are unsure, there is a website that I always use called Cruelty Free Kitty, I'm pretty sure it's called, and that there's basically like a whole list of brands that are and are not cruelty free, especially when a lot of brands kind of change. So like recently Dove changed to being completely cruelty free, so that kind of had to get updated. So yeah, you can kind of check on there which brands are and are not, which is really good. And again, I don't necessarily think it's like sustainable as such, but it is really good for the environment and for the world to not be testing on animals. and it makes you feel good about yourself for doing that. So yeah. Okay you guys, I think I'm going to wrap this video up here. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you did enjoy it. I know it's something a little bit different from my channel, but I just really wanted to talk about it because I feel like it's so important to share like tips and everything like that with you guys. I love helping you all out, so yeah, I hope you did find it helpful. Let me know in the comments below if you have any tips or tricks for me going forward that I might be able to implement into my life that I've not already done. Make sure to subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you all again very soon with another video. Bye!